I'm going to get into some practical reasons that I buy gold, but before I do that, let's just look at it for a minute. Okay, I think we're ready. So the question of what I plan to do with gold I'm buying just came up, and I think it's a good topic. I don't talk about it much, at least not by itself. Parts of that conversation come up though. I know that I've mentioned hoping to be able to give some to my kids, basic thing. I also mentioned the backup plan in an emergency, the idea of it being a hedge, and then just that it's a convenient way to save. All of those things are part of it for me. And I'd guess that anyone watching these videos can relate to at least one of those reasons. The hobby angle might be another over the years. It's definitely become a little bit of a hobby for me. So I do pick up some collector pieces now and then just to keep it fun. I also think that that's going to make it more fun when I hand it down. The part that I don't talk about a whole lot is just being able to build up capital for down payments for things like real estate. I think that that part is worth mentioning. So I just watched a video about a person who bought his house with crypto. At least that was the headline. What he actually did was sell down some crypto to cover the down payment. He also talked a little bit about equity loans against crypto assets that he continued to hold. And I've been talking a little bit about that with gold. I'm looking into it. And the reason that I'm grabbing these Eagles is I have used gold before as a down payment. I sold a couple tubes of Eagles for that specific purpose. So the idea was pretty interesting. This was a property that he was going to use as his primary residence. It was in Puerto Rico. That was going to help him allow a way around capital gains taxes. That's kind of an interesting topic on its own. But he was also planning to list that property on Airbnb and VRBO. There is a lot packed into that. It was clear that he had some background with real estate and that he had some background with short-term rental income. I do have some similar interests there, some similar background there, but I'm not going to dive into that here. And I'm not sure that his video would be the right one to point to for that kind of information either, but there was some interesting ideas in there. The relevant part to me was that he was using an asset class other than cash to purchase real estate. Now with gold, there are all of these possible short-term uses, maybe needs that would hinge on bad things happening. And if that bad scenario never comes up, it becomes generational wealth, something that you can hand down to your kids. But in between those two scenarios, there's the possible case of hitting an opportunity that you need capital for. And that rarely gets discussed. And like I just mentioned, I've sold gold for real estate. Actually, I've sold it twice for real estate. The biggest obstacle to real estate ownership is always going to be the down payment. It does not matter if it's your primary residence or an income property. You typically need at least 20%. And that's a much longer topic, not one that I want to make a video about. But to the question of what I personally plan to do with gold that I'm buying, building up capital is always a factor in it. I see a lot of comments from people saying that they will never sell. A while back, I made a video about whether you can have too much gold. And that comment came up a lot. People said they couldn't have too much, and they also said that they would never sell. Personally, I think that you can have too much, but it's not a static number. I don't have a hard stop point. Now, part of that is because I know that I could use it to buy property. I know that I could use it to buy land. And I could get use out of that. I could even get revenue out of that and still have a physical asset that I could give to my kids someday. So all of those things that I mentioned at the beginning, buying for emergency needs, my CYA plan, my backup plan, whatever you want to call it, buying as a market hedge, etc. All of that plays into it, but it's more to me than just seeing how much gold I can amass before I die. So the financial collapse idea, that's the emergency that I mentioned, or at least one form of it. I don't actually buy gold for the Red Dawn or the Mad Max scenario. But the thing about having precious metals is that any possible catastrophe, big or small, long-term or short-term, they're all covered in some way by having asset diversification. And I'm sure there was at least some part of me that thought at some point it might be smart to have some maples just in case we needed to load the truck and head north. But this is not just about emergency needs, not just the fire and brimstone stuff. It's also capital for opportunities. And I'm surprised that more people don't talk about rolling capital through asset classes. I roll crypto gains into gold. That's new, but that's been a lot of fun. A decade ago, I carved out a little bit of room for my monthly budget to start buying some gold. That has definitely been fun as well. But it wasn't until I was able to roll some gold into real estate purchases that the benefits of having this stuff really rounded out for me. Now, if it's just about real estate, I wouldn't be buying something like this 2009 Ultra High Relief Double Eagle. I won't be running to the local shop to liquidate this for a down payment. So there's more to this than just keeping it around for capital. Some of this is more for fun or general interest, I'll admit it, but Eagles and Buffaloes, they're almost like cash to me, but with the possible upside. And that's a big part of why I try to stick to them first. I'd kind of gotten away from the idea of stacking toward tubes last year until I focused in on filling a tube of Buffaloes. So back to the original question of what I plan to do with gold, why I was buying it. Well, I've always thought that just trying to stay ahead of inflation was a good enough reason. And you can do that a number of different ways. You can do that with the stock market. I do that too. But asset diversity, that's a big thing to me. You just can't simply assume that everything will always go up. Stocks don't always go up. And you could always just hold cash, but the idea that I can do anything with a tube of Eagles, tube of Buffaloes that I can do with cash should show how straightforward all of this is. Yeah, I got the impression that the person asking the question thought I was building an ark, just waiting around for a catastrophe. It's all of the above. You get all the interesting aspects of gold, you get all the things that person was probably imagining, and then maybe a few more. The practical benefits, though, they really don't require a whole lot of imagination. So if you keep in mind that gold is really ever only a step or two away from being actual capital that you could use as a down payment for whatever it is you're thinking about, well, I guess I'm just surprised that more people don't consider accumulating it. So let us know what you think. Would you sell some gold to help at the down payment, or is it just kind of a catastrophe lottery ticket only? Let us know either way, and be sure to hit that like button if you have a maple leaf, just in case you ever need to bribe a Canadian border agent. The subscribe button is down there as well. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to hear more on the topic, and if you're still here, thank you again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.